record and your street address, and then you're able to provide any comments that you would like to about this process. Questions for the record, support for the project, opposition for the project. This is your chance to provide comments to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, and after this scoping hearing is completed this evening, the record will remain open for an additional 2 weeks, during which time anyone here or other members of the public can still provide written comments to the city clerk and to the NJDEP. But in terms of background, the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Green Acres Program was created in 1961 to meet New Jersey's growing recreation and conservation needs. Once lands are acquired or developed with Green Acres funds, they must continue to be used solely for recreation and conservation purposes in perpetuity. These are commonly known as funded parkland, and that's what we're dealing with this evening. However, there are instances where it's appropriate to divert or dispose of parkland, of Green Acres encumbered parcels, from recreation or conservation use. And in order to divert or dispose of Green Acres parkland, approvals required from the NJDEP and the State House Commission in Trenton. However, prior to applying to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection and the State House Commission, we are required to have this scoping hearing this evening. And what we are looking to do, what the city is looking to do, is to dispose of approximately 0.14 acres of parkland. Again, 0.14 acres, located along St. John Street, near the intersection of St. John Street and Lafayette Street, and it's identified as block 1061, lots 44 and 47 on the official tax maps of the city. And again, I know for members of the public, it's often difficult to understand block and lot numbers and where they're located. So again, we have an aerial photograph of the property where we've highlighted in red those 0.14 acres to be disposed of. I think it's also important to recognize that this is a land swap. So in compensation for the 0.14 acres, the city is proposing to permanently restrict in perpetuity additional lands commonly known as the Sewell Tract. And those lands are also highlighted on the exhibits up here this evening. The lands being disposed of are part of the proposed overall tract of land for the new police station. We're going to provide an overview of the disposal process, and then the chief of police will come up to talk about the compelling public need for a new police station, why this site is particularly well suited for a new police station, but more importantly, to also talk about the various alternative sites in the city that were considered by the administration for other locations for the new police station. As I mentioned earlier, the compensation will be property that's commonly known as the Sewell Tract, and it's identified as block 1163, lot 7, block 1164, lot 6, block 1165, lots 1 and 6, and block 1167, lot 2. And these are all identified in the city's tax maps. Again, it's difficult to wrap your arms around where those properties are located, so we've highlighted them in red on the aerial photograph before you this morning. And please feel free to come up and view those exhibits if you'd like to do so during your providing public comments. So what I'd like to do now is to turn it over to the Chief of Police, if you could come up to the lectern.
Good evening.
If you could just state your full name for the record and introduce yourself to the members of the public.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Deacon Fashall. I'm the current police chief of the Cape May Police Department. We service the boroughs of West Cape May and Cape May Point and the city of Cape May.
Chief, just for the public's edification, can you talk about the police department's current operation in terms of the municipality served, shared services agreements, number of calls, and how that's been impacted by growth in the city?
Yes, sir, I can. We currently operate the Cape May Police Department, which we sit in here now, that's located at 643 Washington Street. We have a substation, commonly known as the West Cape May Substation, which is at 732 Broadway. We utilize these two buildings over the last 20 years since the Cape May Police Department took over through a shared services process to take over the West Cape May Police Department, to unify those two boroughs and the Cape May City Police Department together approximately 20 years ago. We have increased in size both manpower and our calls for service and the popularity of Cape May, West Cape May, Cape May Point. Cape May is a great place to come, West Cape May and Cape May Point as well. The locations serve our residents and visitors in twofold. The residents that live here share this land in these areas year-round. We have our lower number in the off-season. However, our off-season has grown to almost the 11-month off-season. The off-season has grown to 11 months or so. The population swells to 40 or 50,000 people in the summertime, where the need to have a new public facility, police facility, is long overdue and greatly impacted us.
So, Chief, it's fair to say that there's a compelling public need for a new and upgraded police station.
Absolutely.
Can you talk about the benefits of the new police station in terms of building code requirements, the existing jail, what would be changed?
The location that's proposed now, as you see in these two easels here, the current location that we sit in now is not far from the location that we're proposing at the intersection of St. John and Lafayette. We feel as a department, the increased visibility, better location to foster better relationships with the community, the children, and a better facility to allow proper handling of arrestees, proper accommodations for domestic violence victims, walk-up. We have a lot of walk-up crowd from the mall and certain parts of the town here. And a good parking area for those wishing to meet and greet or discuss police business, or just come and have a conversation with the police department. Better access to the boroughs of West Cape May and Cape May Point, meaning that we're a little closer in proximity to some back roads that could get us there. I feel that strengthening the community within the park structure and allowing us to integrate this police department with the upcoming or impending park structure, which you see here on easel number 1, will benefit most of our school children, made up of mostly mothers who travel to the elementary school or walk by this location on a daily basis to and from class. Allow officers or access to officers teaching our programs such as DARE and LEAD. The program that could run in the park along with the police department. It's not far. We could walk out our front door and walk to there. Even have events closer and in better proximity, such as National Night Out, we can attend and have these locations here at the park and the police department.
Thank you, Chief. And before we look at some of the alternative sites that were considered, just for the benefit of the public, can you talk about response times in a little bit more detail and why the site that's being proposed for the police station is really the ideal site for response times?
There are several other locations which we'll get into that were proposed and discussed along the way here. This current location, we feel, is better fit to get pretty much anywhere in Cape May City in a very detailed, safe manner, where we can get out on the Lafayette Street, which pretty much is the artery to Cape May from the out of town here via the Garden State Parkway. The back road, the Broad Street Court, we can get onto Leeming Avenue in the West Cape May, also over to Broadway, which enters us into Sunset Boulevard. Quick access to all 3 municipalities that we cover, also allowing us pretty much the same travel distance from this current station to the Beachfront Mall and East Cape May, Poverty Beach, the Coast Guard base, which we also serve, which is on Delaware and Pennsylvania Avenues.
Thank you, Chief. So faster response times will lead to an increase in public safety. With respect to the police force itself, can you just speak to how a new modern police force building will benefit the community as well as the officers?
Absolutely. The proposed project will meet the operational needs of the police force and provide adequate parking to police staff, employees, and visitors. The rapidly changing technology that we're overseeing and encountering, environmental requires more space to accommodate the equipment of the specific facilities. The need to update our facility is long surpassed us. As far as security issues, outdated buildings, building codes and requirements, we're fighting that. As far as the jail cells are concerned, that's just one aspect of it. However, our current jail cells, we receive an assessment every year, which we get a concession to continue using them, but they're very outdated, and I don't feel that they're continuing there in a safe manner. I think we upgrade our facilities, better our officer standings as far as having the newer equipment, coming up to technology. Everything is greatly and quickly moving and evolving around us. We need to keep up with that technology. I have a lot of young officers that come in and expect more, so we need to give them that. And also that service will allow us to give public safety and a better public safety aspect to our citizens and visitors.
Thank you, Chief. So there's a compelling public need for a new police station. Where it's being proposed with these, part of the land, 0.14 acres being disposed of, all this will lead to significant public benefits in terms of public health, welfare, and safety. Before we go to the alternatives, what would happen under a no-build analysis, meaning that you stay in your current operations and there's no new police station built? What impact would that have in the city of Camden, the city of Cape May, and the surrounding communities?
I feel staying status quo is not going to be beneficial to anyone, the public, the officers, the visitors that come. If you continue to just put Band-Aids on top of Band-Aids, it's just never going to get any better. I invite anyone in the public, citizens, to come visit our locations, both here and at West Cape May. They're very, very outdated. Modernization is where we need to go. The benefit to the public greatly outweighs not doing it. The no build is, in my opinion, not a good thing to do. A build is a must.
And that would have a negative impact on public health, welfare.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chief. I know you've been working closely with the mayor and the administration on various alternative sites, and part of this scoping hearing is to discuss the alternatives analysis. And what I'd like to do is just walk through the different sites that were considered by the city and what your comments would be on each one of those sites.
Sure.
So I'd like to start with the site along Pittsburgh Avenue, which is part of the Sewell tract, some of the replacement lands that we're discussing. Did you consider the Pittsburgh Avenue site?
We did, and just for everyone's, obviously everyone here is Cape May, but if you're not from Cape May, just please let me understand where you, or let you know where you are. Pittsburgh Avenue currently is where our Coast Guard base is, near Pennsylvania Avenue and Delaware Avenues, considered East Cape May. Our consideration there and what we looked at mostly was the response time, both to the city of Cape May and both boroughs that we serve, Cape May Point and West Cape May. I feel that the response times in these areas, if the police department was put that far away, would greatly diminish at this location. This area is also flood prone. It's in a flood zone. Most notably, this would be placing a public safety operation into a location not accustomed to that. Yeah, and the community there, the residents living in that area are not accustomed to a police department. I think it would be affronting to them.
Thank you, Chief. And you made an important point there about being in a flood zone or environmentally sensitive areas. Based on your conversations with the mayor and the administration, is it correct that roughly 75% of the city is located in a flood zone?
From my recordation of it, yes, 75% of the city is in a flood zone.
And so that severely limits the available locations for a police station, because you would not want to have a police station located ideally in a flood zone.
Most notably, this location is not.
Thank you. Did you have a chance to review the Bank Street parcel?
I also did as well in reviewing the file and just knowing the area from working here for many, many years. This location is also in a very well-known flood zone. The location is also the current site of our overflow or permitted parking location, where we have the mall and we have the area there on Lafayette Street, and it leads into near Collier's Jackson Street lot is one parking area. The overflow is Bank Street. So taking that area away and removing parking, which everyone knows Cape May, we need more parking, I feel would be a deficit to that area. The removal of greatly needed parking space would be inconsistent to do that.
Thank you, Chief. And can you discuss...
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Can you discuss the Madison Avenue parcel, and whether you reviewed that for a police station?
Again, some clarification for those non-Cape May people that are here. Madison Avenue is also known as Kiwanis Park, or the Duck Park, located off of Madison Avenue near Washington Street and the PNC Bank. The removal of the park is not something that we, the police department, nor the city of Cape May would be happy about. This location is significant in many ways. It is beautiful. It is a beautiful location for the youth and family that play and serve, and also serves as a location for our Camp Cape May. Most notably, it would be unfortunate to interrupt the wildlife, animals, and many species of birds and ducks that reside there. This is their home. This area also serves as a flood basin and an area for controlling stormwaters. My thought here is this: if you build it, they will come. However, if you remove it, where will it go? Where does the water go? Finally, the parks and lands are at a limitation. We look to preserve this area, not remove it. So removing land here will be exactly what we're trying to not do. So feeling that also this location is placing a public safety operation in an area not accustomed to that. This area is not used to police operations.
Thank you, Chief. And one last site, did you consider the existing firehouse and the new firehouse to locate or co-locate the police department there?
We did. The current location is right next to us here as everyone drove in. You can see the construction, also known as 712 Washington Street. It was highly debated that this location was an undersized location and not as suitable for both the police department and fire buildings, wherein the citizens of Cape May brought this matter to a referendum. Seeing a no building or building, a public safety building housing both police and fire, ultimately and respectfully, the citizens and the voters chose the location not suitable for the future home of the police department and the fire department, only for the fire department. Understandably, we understood this as a police department, that the citizens spoke, and we understood that their views had to be heard, and we heard them.
So when you looked at all these alternative sites, is it fair to state that you looked at existing conditions, whether there was a stormwater pond there for retention, whether it would involve the removal of a parking lot, environmentally sensitive areas, environmental permitting, and most importantly, response times? Those were all taken into consideration when reviewing the alternative sites and choosing the current site in question as the most viable?
That is correct.
And one last question, Chief. I know we talked about the no-build analysis and how that would not be acceptable from a public health, welfare, and safety perspective. Is it fair to say that it's not feasible to renovate the existing building due to quality, efficiency, and even the security of the police operations?
Yes, and it also doesn't resolve the lack of space issues that we have. So again, in my notes here, renovating the existing headquarters is not feasible and it require compromising quality and also a deficit in public safety, continuing that process.
Chief, thank you very much for your time this evening.
You're very welcome, sir.
So that concludes our presentation for this evening. We're going to be opening up to public comment now, but hopefully you recognize, members of the public recognize from the Chief's comments that there has been a very thorough analysis of various alternative sites throughout the city for this new police station. It's desperately needed by the city for reasons of public health, welfare, and safety. I don't think there's any dispute that there's a compelling need for a new station. But for a variety of reasons, as the Chief mentioned, those sites were not suitable. That being said, as members of the public, you can ask or provide comment regarding other sites, any one of the alternative sites that were just discussed, or questions about the existing parkland that's going to be disposed of. And again, with respect to the police station, there will be future public hearings should we get through this process with the DEP regarding the design of the police station, the footprint of the police station, the operations, and the design of it, from architectural renderings, et cetera. But at this time, we're going to open it up to all members of the public. There is no time limit on your comments. However, if you simply want to agree with something that someone said prior to you, that is acceptable. Again, we have a court reporter here this evening, so speak clearly, state your name for the record and your address, but the time is yours. And again, we will be providing a transcript of tonight's hearing to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. So this is your opportunity to provide comments or questions to DEP. I'll simply act as the moderator this evening, so if anyone would like to come up to speak first, rather than forming a line, it might be easiest to raise your hand. Sir?
Is that good? Yeah.
Yes.
Dennis Crowley, 806 Lafayette Street. I understand the purpose of this hearing is to decide whether or not essentially two pieces of public property will be swapped. Is that correct?
This is an opportunity for the public right now to ask questions to DEP and to provide support or opposition to it. So we're not going to have the opportunity to answer questions from the public as we move forward.
Okay.
But yes, just to reiterate, this is the proposal to take two lots that are approximately 0.14 acres of land and take them out of the funded parkland program with the NJDEP Green Acres program and swap them with new parkland along the Sewell Tract, which is approximately 4.86 acres in size.
Okay, thanks. That's what I thought it was. And let me begin my remarks, I won't be long, by saying that if you know anything about Cape May, you know that Cape May is completely jammed with development. There's no space left There's very little space to build out because we've already been built out. And public land is at a premium for use for anything other than parks. So in the context of that reality, my feeling is that if you want to get the best use of your public land, you're going to have to make sure that you get a fair deal from this swap. And looking at the map and this map, I can't see any reason why this is not an extremely good deal for Cape May. It's essentially a no-brainer. We're taking a piece of land in the middle of the city, which by title is parkland, and we're exchanging that piece of land so that the public benefit of a building would be realized in the present neighborhood, and we're getting in return how many acres of land on the Sewell Tracts?
4.86.
You get 4.6 acres, which will then be perpetually protected. It's a win-win for the entire city because we'll get what we absolutely need for our community, and we'll get much more land than we ever get back for a protected wildlife preserve or any other public use, which is consistent with that Sewell Tract property. So I think this is the highest and best use of public land, and I think it's an excellent proposal, and I hope you folks at the DEP approve it as soon as possible so we can get on with the process of making this town better. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Doesn't bend very much. Name is James Testa. The address is 1501 Beach Avenue, and I'm here speaking as the president of Concerned Citizens for Sewell Tract Preservation. Sewell Tract has been the subject of our concern for the last 6 or 7 years as we participated in the effort to save it, expand it, and make sure that it remained perpetually preserved. We've been looking very closely at the city lots adjoining Sewell Tract, and have for a long time thought that their most appropriate use is to be put toward preservation and contributed to a greater Sewell Tract. And seeing this proposal, which takes a limited slice off of the public parkland and trades for it a much larger amount of land, I think there's very little doubt that our belief is that it's a perfectly good transaction, it's a supportable transaction, and it ought to be approved. Now, we've submitted an extensive letter of comment, filed it both with the city clerk and with the DEP, and I won't take anybody's time to read it because I hope the DEP will read it in full, but I would like to just read the summary and conclusion to that letter. And it is one in which, as I say, we really completely support the swap and transaction, and for both reasons. The small reduction in the Lafayette Street Park program, but also the much greater contribution into Sewell Tract. So Concerned Citizens supports the proposed transaction as embodying sound environmental policy, and that'll promote environmental justice and the overall public good. The lots to be withdrawn from the preservation are needed for a legitimate public purpose. Those lots are minor, an unimportant part of the park project in which they've been included, and have virtually no environmental preservation value. On the other hand, the lots to be contributed in replacement are themselves already environmentally sensitive and represent a substantial addition directly connected to Cape May's single largest land-based environmental resource, Sewell Tract. An enhanced tract can be more efficiently managed by one owner than multiple owners, which is why we also favor ultimate aggregation of all Sewell Tract-related lands in the hands of the NJDEP. With respect to this particular transaction, we believe that the exchange ratio of land in the proposed transaction is very, very favorable, and we also believe that the value exchange ratio is fair and favors the contribution toward the contribution side of the equation. So all those factors and other points that we make in our comment letter lead us to the conclusion the proposed transaction should be approved and it should be carried out. And that's the balance of my remarks.
Thank you for your comments.
Excuse me. Hi, my name is Joanne Knight. I live at 6 Broad Street, right across the way. I agree with the plan because it makes it better for the kids instead of walking all the way around. Find an area where they can transport themselves to school in a safer route. But the reason why I say that, on that street, Lafayette, is a main strip. There's a lot of accidents, a lot of speeding. We witnessed that as far as when they leave off of Lafayette and turn on St. John, they don't slow down. So why not have the police station there to watch over everything? They got first sight right there. You see everything right there. Everything happened right there. It's right there. The place would be right pretty much in the same area, but just like a block or two away, which is not even far. So, I mean, I agree with the project that they plan on doing. I don't have no problem with that.
Thank you very much.
Robert Elwell, 808 Columbia Avenue, Cape May. First, I want to say that I'm very happy that the DEP realized when they made up the rules that they had a process to do this land swap, because without it, I don't know where we'd be. I want to say that I was on the police department here for 10 years, and then I went to the prosecutor's office as a county detective, and I retired as captain of county detectives. So I have seen a great change in the police work over the recent years, and definitely Cape May needs a new physical police department. I also served as mayor here for a while, and I just am happy that we're able to do such a thing, and I'm all behind this swap, and
I'm Janet Van Sickle. I live at 712 Lafayette. So I do have a simple question, I think. I was a little surprised when the police chief talked about the alternative locations, and I was just wondering if anybody looked into the existing library, the library that's going, no longer be there in the yellow building, and if that was suitable or unsuitable for a new police department. I don't know if you can answer that, but.
Right now, this is an opportunity only to provide comment to DEP, so. I know we have other members of the public here that have not provided comment. Does anyone else wish to come up to the microphone and provide comment to DEP? Going once? Going twice? All right, well, everyone, thank you very much for your time this evening. This ends the scoping hearing presentation and your opportunity for comment. I would remind you, as I stated at the start of the hearing, that the opportunity to provide written comment will remain open for an additional 2 weeks, and you can provide written comment directly to the city clerk and to DEP. Their addresses and contact information are in the notice that's published on the city's website. But again, thank you for coming out to learn about and to provide comment on this proposed land swap for 0.14 acres for 4.86 acres. Have a good evening.